The worst part wasn't when she pulled the ring off my finger. It was the laughter that followed. 40 people in that room, and not one of them looked away. Hello there. My name is Margaret Cole, though most folks call me Maggie. I'm 72 years old, and I live in Millbrook, Indiana. It's one of those towns where everyone knows the postal worker by name and the hardware store still gives out free coffee on Saturdays. I've lived here my whole life. This is where I raised my son. This is where I buried my husband. Robert died 3 years ago. Heart attack in the driveway, right after he finished washing the truck. He was 69. We'd been married for 47 years. He was a good man. Quiet, but steady. He worked at the grain elevator for 30 years, then drove delivery trucks until his knees gave out. We never had much money, but we always had enough. Robert had this habit. Every anniversary, every birthday, sometimes for no reason at all, he'd bring home a ring. Not expensive ones. Silver bands from the pawn shop, thin gold rings from the jewelry counter at Walmart, once a turquoise stone from a craft fair. He'd slide it onto my finger and say, "One more year with you, Maggie girl." That's what he called me. Maggie girl. By the time he died, I had 14 rings. I wore them all, spread across both hands. My fingers looked crowded, I know. But they were my history. Each one was a moment. Each one was him saying he chose me again. After Robert passed, Ethan said I couldn't stay in the house alone. Too big, he said. Too much upkeep. What if I fell? What if something happened? He had a point. The house was old. The stairs creaked. Some nights I'd sit in the kitchen and forget why I'd walked in there. So I moved into Ethan's place 6 months ago. He and his wife Tara have a nice house on Oakwood Drive. 3 bedrooms, finished basement, 2-car garage. Tara's very proud of it. She tells me the square footage every time someone visits. I took the smallest bedroom upstairs. I brought my clothes, Robert's old rocking chair, and a photo album. I didn't bring much else. Tara said they didn't have space for my furniture. She said their style was modern minimalist. I didn't argue. I was grateful to have somewhere to go. Living with them wasn't easy. Tara had rules. Don't use the good towels. Don't leave dishes in the sink. Don't turn the thermostat above 68. Don't cook anything with a strong smell. Don't have the TV on after 9. Don't. I tried to follow everything. I tried to be invisible. Ethan worked long hours at the insurance company. When he came home, he was tired. He'd eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. He didn't talk much. Not to me, not to Tara. He wasn't like Robert. Robert talked. He told me about his day, about the guys at work, about the weather. Ethan just looked at his phone. Tara was different. Tara talked plenty. She talked about her business plans. She was opening a nail salon. Luxury nails, she called it. Gel extensions, nail art, spa pedicures. She'd been planning it for 2 years. She had binders full of color samples and price lists. She showed me sometimes, flipping through pages of pink and silver designs. I'd nod and say it looked nice. I didn't know what else to say. Last month, Tara announced she was having a launch party. A big one. Investors, friends, family, anyone who might spread the word. She ordered catering. She bought new furniture for the living room. She got her hair done twice in 1 week. She was glowing. Ethan kept saying how proud he was. The night of the party, I stayed in my room at first. I hadn't been invited specifically, but Tara didn't say I couldn't come downstairs. Around 7, I heard voices. Lots of them. I looked out my window and saw cars lining the street. The house was full. I put on my blue cardigan and my Sunday skirt. I brushed my hair. I looked at my hands. The rings caught the light from the bedside lamp. 14 bands of silver and gold, stacked and worn. My hands looked old, wrinkled and spotted and swollen at the knuckles. But the rings made them mine. I went downstairs. The living room was packed. Women in tight dresses and high heels. Men in button-up shirts. Everyone holding wine glasses. The coffee table had been pushed aside to make room for a banner that said, "Tara's Touch Grand Opening." There were balloons. There was a table of appetizers I'd never seen Tara make. I stood near the doorway. Nobody noticed me at first. I didn't mind. I wasn't good at parties anymore. I used to be, back when Robert was alive. He'd hold my hand and introduce me to people. He'd make jokes. He'd make me feel like I belonged. Without him, I was just an old woman in a cardigan. Then Tara saw me. She was in the center of the room, laughing with a group of women. She glanced over and her smile faltered. Just for a second. Then she walked toward me, heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "Margaret," she said. She never called me Maggie. "You're up." "I thought I'd come say hello," I said. "Congratulations on your opening." She looked at my outfit. Her eyes moved from my cardigan to my skirt to my shoes. Then she looked at my hands. Her expression changed. It wasn't quite disgust. It was something colder. "Those rings," she said, loud enough that a few people turned to look. "You're still wearing all of those?" I looked down at my hands. "Yes," I said. "I always do." She laughed. Not a real laugh. A performed one. "Margaret, you can't be serious. They're so cluttered. And some of them are turning your fingers green." People were watching now. I felt their eyes. I pulled my hands behind my back. "They're from my husband," I said quietly. "Right, but he's gone," Tara said. Her voice was light, casual, like she was discussing the weather. "And honestly, they look kind of desperate. Like you're trying to prove something." She turned to the group behind her. "Doesn't it look desperate?" A few people laughed. Uncomfortable laughs, but laughs nonetheless. Ethan was across the room. He heard it. He looked over. I waited for him to say something. To tell Tara to stop. To walk over and stand next to me. But he didn't. He just looked down at his drink. Tara reached for my hand. I pulled back, but she grabbed my wrist. Her grip was firm. She pulled my hand into the light, holding it up for everyone to see. "Look at this," she said, addressing the room like a performer. 14 rings. 14. And none of them worth selling, I bet. "Margaret, you're living here rent-free. Maybe instead of hoarding old jewelry, you could contribute. Sell a few. Help with groceries." The room was silent now. Everyone watching. Then Ethan spoke. "Mom," he said. His voice was careful, measured. "She's got a point. It's not like you need all of them." That's when something inside me cracked. Not broke. Just cracked. A hairline fracture I'd been ignoring for months. Tara smiled. She twisted one of the rings on my finger. A thin silver band Robert bought at a flea market in 1989. She pulled. It hurt. The skin bunched and resisted. She pulled harder. The ring came off. She held it up to the light, inspecting it like a jeweler. "Not even real silver," she said. "This is junk." She slipped it onto her own finger. It didn't fit. Too big. She laughed again and tossed it onto the coffee table. It landed next to a plate of shrimp. I looked at her. I looked at Ethan. I looked at the 40 people in that room, all of them staring at me with pity or amusement or nothing at all. I could have cried. I could have yelled. I could have walked out. But I didn't. I spoke quietly. So quietly that Tara had to lean in to hear me. "If you want them that badly, you can have them," I said. "But do me a favor, Tara. Check your bank account first. You might want to see what's in there." Her smile faltered. Just for a second. I turned and walked back upstairs. Behind me, the party continued. The laughter started again, but it sounded different now. Uncertain, like they didn't know what joke they'd just heard. I sat on my bed and looked at my hands. 13 rings left. 1 missing. The space on my finger looked wrong. Empty, like a gap in a fence. I didn't cry that night. I didn't sleep either. I just sat in Robert's rocking chair and waited for the sun to come up. Something was about to change. I could feel it. 3 days after the party, I went to buy groceries. It was a Tuesday morning. I always shop on Tuesday mornings because the store is quiet. I can take my time. I don't have to rush or get in anyone's way. I had a list. Bread, eggs, milk, chicken, carrots, coffee. Basic things. $14.63 worth. The cashier was a young man named Tyler. He'd worked there for years. He always asked how I was doing. Always called me Mrs. Cole. He scanned my items and told me the total. I swiped my debit card. The machine made a sound. A beep I'd never heard before. Tyler looked at the screen and frowned. It declined, he said. Do you have another card? I didn't. I only had the one. The account Robert and I opened together in 1981. The account where my Social Security went. The account where FEMA deposited the $75,000 after the house flooded last spring. Can you try again? I asked. He swiped it twice more. Same beep. Same message. People were lining up behind me. I could feel them waiting. Tyler looked uncomfortable. Maybe call your bank, he said quietly. I'm sorry, Mrs. Cole. I left the groceries on the counter and walked out. My face was hot. My hands were shaking. I sat in my car in the parking lot and called the bank. The automated voice asked what I needed. I pressed buttons until I got to account balance. The robot voice told me I had $487. I hung up and called again. Same number. $487. The flood happened 14 months ago. Spring of last year. 3 days of rain. The creek behind our house overflowed. Water came up through the floorboards. Ruined the furniture, the carpet, the appliances. Everything on the first floor was destroyed. The insurance covered some of it. FEMA covered the rest. $75,000 deposited directly into my account last June. I'd barely touched it. I used some for funeral expenses after Robert died. I paid off his medical bills. I bought a few things I needed. But most of it sat there. I was saving it. For emergencies. For when I needed it. $487. I drove to the bank. My hands were still shaking. I had to grip the steering wheel hard to keep them steady. Inside, I waited in line. When my turn came, I asked to see my transaction history. The teller was a woman in her 20s. She looked at her computer screen and printed out 3 pages. Here you go, Mrs. Cole, she said. Is there a problem? I looked at the pages. Line after line of withdrawals. Purchases. Transfers. August 15th. Furniture Depot. $4,200. August 20th. Luxury Nail Supply Co. $12,000. August 23rd. Restoration Hardware. $3,800. September 2nd. Cartier. $2,500. September 7th. Sephora. $800. September 12th. Peloton. $2,000. On and on. Pages of them. Some I recognized. Some I didn't. But I knew what they were. I'd seen the furniture in Ethan's house. The new couch. The dining table. The art on the walls. I'd seen Tara's designer purse. Her new watch. The exercise bike in the basement. All of it paid with my card. My account. My money. This isn't right, I said to the teller. My voice sounded far away. I didn't make these purchases. She looked at the paper. Then at me. Her expression changed. Softer. Pitying. Mrs. Cole, these transactions all used your debit card. Your PIN number. Are you sure you don't remember? I'm sure, I said. I didn't buy any of this. She glanced at someone behind the counter. An older man in a suit. He walked over. His name tag said branch manager. Is there an issue? He asked. This woman, the teller started, but I interrupted. Someone used my card without permission, I said. $74,000. Maybe more. I didn't authorize any of this. The manager looked at the paper. He looked at me. Mrs. Cole, I understand this is upsetting. Sometimes as we get older, our memory isn't what it used to be. It's very common. Nothing to be embarrassed about. My chest tightened. My memory is fine. Of course, he said. His voice was kind, condescending. But you live with your son, correct? Is it possible you gave him permission to use the card? For household expenses? No, I said. I didn't. He nodded slowly. Well, we can file a fraud report, but I have to tell you, when the PIN is used correctly, and the cardholder lives with the person making purchases, it's very difficult to prove unauthorized use. The legal assumption is that you gave permission. I didn't give permission. I believe you, he said. He didn't. But the card was in your possession. The PIN is something only you should know. Unless someone forced you to share it? They didn't force me. I'd written it on a piece of paper in my wallet. The same PIN I'd used for 40 years. Robert's birthday. Anyone could have found it. Let me talk to my son, I said. I drove home. The whole way, I kept thinking about the numbers. $75,000. Gone. Used. Spent on things I didn't need. Things I'd never even touched. When I got to the house, Tara's car was in the driveway. Ethan's wasn't. He was at work. I walked in through the front door. Tara was in the kitchen, drinking coffee and looking at her phone. I put the bank statement on the counter in front of her. What's this? She asked. She didn't look up. My account history, I said. $74,000 missing. Now she looked up. Her face didn't change. Okay? These purchases, I said, pointing at the paper. The furniture store. The nail supplies. Cartier. Did you use my card for these? She set her phone down. Margaret, you're confused again. We talked about this. We never talked about this. Yes, we did, she said slowly, like I was a child. Remember? You said you wanted to help with the business. You said we could use your FEMA money for startup costs. You insisted. I never said that. She sighed. Ethan told me this might happen. You're forgetting things, Margaret. It's getting worse. Last week you asked me 3 times what day it was. You left the stove on twice. You forget where you put things. I don't. You do, she said firmly. And that's okay. It's normal for people your age. But you can't go around accusing us of stealing when you're the one who offered the money. My throat felt tight. I didn't offer anything. She picked up her phone again. I think you should talk to Ethan about seeing a doctor. Maybe get your memory checked. We're worried about you. I stood there looking at her. She wasn't angry. She wasn't defensive. She was calm. Completely calm. Like she believed every word she was saying. When Ethan came home that evening, they sat me down in the living room. Both of them on the couch. Me in the chair across from them. Mom, Ethan said. Tara told me what happened at the bank. Someone used my card, I said. $74,000. Mom, you gave us permission. You told Tara she could use the account for business expenses. Remember? You said you wanted to help. I looked at him. My son. His face looked like Robert's. Same jaw. Same eyes. But Robert never lied to me. I didn't say that, Ethan. He glanced at Tara. She put her hand on his arm. We think you should see drive. Patterson, he said. Just for a checkup. Make sure everything's okay. My memory is fine. Then why don't you remember giving us permission? I didn't have an answer. Not one they'd accept. So I said nothing. We're trying to help you, Margaret, Tara said. But you have to let us. I went upstairs to my room. I closed the door. I sat on the bed and looked at my hands. 13 rings. The space where the 14th used to be still looked wrong. I thought about what they said. About my memory. About forgetting things. Was it possible? Was I losing pieces of myself and didn't know it? No. I knew what I remembered. I knew what I didn't say. I knew those purchases weren't mine. But proving it was different. They had answers for everything. They were calm and I was shaking. They lived in this house and I was just staying here. They were a united front and I was alone. I opened my bedside drawer and pulled out a notebook. A small one with a blue cover that I used for grocery lists. I turned to a blank page and started writing. The date, the bank statement numbers, every purchase I could see. The furniture, the nail supplies, the watch, the bike. I wrote down what Tara said. What Ethan said, word for word as much as I could remember. Then I wrote down what I knew for certain. My PIN, my card, my account, my money. If they thought I was forgetting things, I'd remember everything from now on. Every conversation, every detail, every lie. I didn't know yet how to fix this. I didn't know if I could. But I knew one thing. I wasn't confused. I wasn't forgetting. And I wasn't going to let them make me believe I was. Robert used to say that the truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be written down and held onto. So that's what I did. I held on. On Friday morning, I took the bus downtown. I hadn't driven in 3 days. My car was still at the house, but I didn't want to explain where I was going. Tara asked questions. Where are you headed? When will you be back? Who are you seeing? I was tired of answering. The bus stop was 4 blocks from Ethan's house. I walked slowly. My knees hurt in the cold. November in Indiana feels like winter even though it's not officially winter yet. The sky was gray. The wind cut through my coat. I got on the bus and sat near the front. The driver nodded at me. I didn't know his name, but I'd seen him before. He had kind eyes. Downtown Millbrook isn't much. A post office, a diner, a pharmacy, and a few old storefronts. Most of the businesses closed years ago when the Walmart opened on Route 40. But some stayed. Lawson's Jewelry was one of them. Robert bought my first ring there in 1977. A simple gold band. $22. He was nervous when he asked Mr. Lawson to show him the rings. Mr. Lawson was young then, maybe 30. He'd just taken over the shop from his father. He was patient with Robert. He didn't rush him. He let him look at every ring in the case twice. That's where Robert bought most of my rings over the years. Not all of them. Some came from pawn shops or craft fairs or the Walmart jewelry counter. But the ones that mattered, the ones for anniversaries and birthdays, those came from Lawson's. The shop looked the same as it always had. Small front window with a display of watches and necklaces. Gold lettering on the glass that said, Lawson and Son Jewelers, Est. 1952. A bell that rang when you opened the door. Mr. Lawson was behind the counter. He was older now, maybe 65. His hair was white. He wore glasses on a chain around his neck. He looked up when I walked in. Mrs. Cole, he said. He smiled. It's been a while. Hello, Mr. Lawson. I was sorry to hear about Robert, he said. He was a good man. Thank you. He gestured to the chair next to the counter. Please, sit. What can I do for you? I sat down. My hands were in my lap. 13 rings catching the light from the display case. I didn't know how to start. So I just said it. Did a young woman come in here recently? Blonde hair. Around 30. Her name is Tara. His expression changed. Not much. Just a flicker. Your daughter-in-law? Yes. He was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. She came in about a month ago. My chest tightened. What did she want? He looked at me carefully. Like he was deciding something. Mrs. Cole, I probably shouldn't. Please, I said. I need to know. He sighed. He reached under the counter and pulled out a black binder. He opened it and flipped through some pages. Receipts, it looked like. He stopped on one and turned the binder toward me. She brought in a ring, he said. Wanted to know what it was worth. Said it belonged to her husband's mother, but the mother didn't remember where it came from. Said the mother was getting forgetful. I looked at the receipt. It had a description. Yellow gold band, vintage style, small diamond chip. The date was October 8th. 4 weeks ago. Did you recognize it? I asked. I did, he said quietly. Robert bought it here in 1994. Your 30th anniversary. He saved up for 6 months for that diamond. My throat hurt. That was one of my favorite rings. The one with the tiny diamond. Robert was so proud of it. He said it wasn't much, but it was real. A real diamond for a real marriage. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her it was worth about $300. She wanted me to upgrade it. Trade it in for something bigger. I said no. Why? Because it wasn't hers, he said. And because she kept saying you wouldn't remember anyway. That didn't sit right with me. I felt something loosen in my chest. Someone believed me. Someone saw what I saw. Do you still have the ring? I asked. No, he said. She took it with her. But Mrs. Cole, I have security cameras. I keep the footage for 90 days. If you need to see it. Yes, I said. Please. He led me to the back room. It was small, cluttered with boxes and tools and velvet ring trays. There was a desk with a computer. He sat down and pulled up a program. A grid of camera angles appeared on the screen. He clicked on October 8th. Fast-forwarded through the morning. Then stopped. There, he said. The footage was black and white but clear. Tara walked into the shop. She was wearing sunglasses even though it was overcast that day. She approached the counter. She pulled something from her purse. A ring. She held it up. Mr. Lawson examined it with his magnifying glass. They talked. Tara gestured with her hands. Animated. Confident. Mr. Lawson shook his head. Tara looked annoyed. She took the ring back. She left. The whole interaction lasted 4 minutes. Can you copy this? I asked. I can put it on a flash drive, he said. But Mrs. Cole, what's going on? Is everything all right? I told him. Not everything, but enough. The missing money. The bank statement. The things they said about my memory. The party. The ring she pulled off my finger. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. How much did they take? He asked finally. $74,000. He let out a low breath. That's elder abuse, Mrs. Cole. Financial exploitation. That's a crime. I know, I said. But proving it is different. They say I gave permission. The bank thinks I'm confused. Are you confused? No. Then we prove you're not, he said. He stood up and went to a filing cabinet. He pulled out a folder. I keep records of every sale. Dates, descriptions, who bought what. I've got 30 years of Robert's purchases in here. If anyone questions whether those rings are yours, I've got documentation. He pulled the flash drive from the computer and handed it to me. This footage shows your daughter-in-law trying to sell your property without your knowledge. That's evidence. I took the flash drive. It was small, lightweight, but it felt heavy in my hand. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet, I said. But I need to protect the rest of my rings. Can you help me? He thought for a moment. Then nodded. I've got a safe deposit box at First National. You could store the real rings there. And I can sell you some costume jewelry. Similar styles. Not expensive, but enough to look real from a distance. How much would that cost? For you? $50 for a set of 13. And the safe deposit box, you'd have to arrange that yourself, but it's about $60 a year. I had $487 in my account. That would cover it. Okay, I said. We spent the next hour picking out rings. He had a drawer of costume jewelry he bought at estate sales. Thin gold-colored bands. Silver-plated rings with colored glass stones. They looked similar to mine. Not identical, but close enough. I took off my real rings one by one. Each one hurt to remove. The turquoise from the craft fair. The gold band from our 40th anniversary. The thin silver Robert bought the week before he died. I lined them up on the velvet tray. 13 rings, all that remained of my original 14. These are your history, Mr. Lawson said softly. We'll keep them safe. He put them in a small velvet pouch. He wrote my name on a tag. He placed the pouch in an envelope and sealed it. Come back Monday, he said. I'll have the safe deposit box set up at the bank. You can transfer them there. In the meantime, they'll stay in my safe. I put on the costume rings. They felt lighter, cheaper, wrong, but they looked right. That was what mattered. Thank you, I said. Mrs. Cole, he said as I was leaving. What you're doing, it's not revenge. You know that, right? What is it then? It's protection, he said. You're protecting what's yours. Your property, your dignity, your truth. There's nothing wrong with that. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. On the bus ride home, I looked at my hands. The fake rings caught the light the same way the real ones did. Nobody would know the difference unless they looked closely. Unless they tried to sell them. I thought about Tara. About how she'd held my hand up at the party. About how she'd pulled the ring off my finger and tossed it on the table like trash. She wanted them. She thought they were worthless, but she still wanted them. Let her want them. Let her think I was a confused old woman wearing cheap jewelry. Let her think she'd already won. I'd spent 2 months living in that house trying to be invisible. Trying not to be a burden. Trying to follow the rules. And where did it get me? $74,000 poorer and a ring missing from my finger. I wasn't going to be invisible anymore. When I got back to the house, Tara was in the living room. She was on the phone, laughing about something. She glanced at me when I walked in. Her eyes went to my hands. To the rings. She smiled. Not warmly, knowingly. She thought she knew what she was looking at. She didn't. I went upstairs. I sat on Robert's rocking chair. I pulled out my notebook and wrote down everything from today. The jeweler. The footage. The costume rings. The plan. I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if I was strong enough to see it through. But I knew one thing. Robert always said that love isn't just about holding on. Sometimes it's about knowing when to set a trap. I wasn't just holding on anymore. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days after I got the costume rings from Mr. Lawson, Tara came into my room. She didn't knock. She never did. I was sitting in Robert's chair, reading. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. Margaret, I need to borrow one of your rings, she said. Not ask. Borrow. Why? I asked. A friend wants to see them. She collects vintage jewelry. I told her about your collection. She smiled. Unless you don't remember having them? I looked down at my hands. The fake rings glinted in the afternoon light. Which one? That one. She pointed at the yellow gold band with the glass stone. The one that looked like the 1994 anniversary ring. The one with the fake diamond. That was my 30th anniversary gift, I said. I'll bring it back, she said. I promise. She held out her hand. I hesitated just long enough to seem reluctant. Then I twisted the ring off my finger and placed it in her palm. She held it up to the light. Examined it. Robert had good taste, she said. For someone who worked at a grain elevator. Then she left. I heard her heels clicking down the stairs. I heard the front door close. I heard her car start. I picked up my phone and called Mr. Lawson. She just took the bait, I said. I'll be ready, he said. Tara went to Lawson's jewelry the next morning. I know because Mr. Lawson called me right after. You need to come down here, he said. Now. I took the bus. My hands were shaking the whole ride. When I got to the shop, Mr. Lawson was waiting outside. His expression was grim. She was here 20 minutes ago, he said. She wanted to sell the ring. Told me it was hers. Said her mother-in-law gave it to her as a gift. What did you tell her? I told her it was costume jewelry. Worth about $5. He paused. She didn't believe me at first. Got angry. Said I was trying to cheat her. So I showed her the stone under magnification. Glass. Not diamond. She went pale. What did she do? She left. Fast. But Mrs. Cole, here's what you need to know. While she was here, I mentioned that this was the second time she'd brought me one of your rings. I asked her where the first one was. The real one. She claimed she didn't know what I was talking about. Then I showed her the security footage from October. You showed her? I did. She needed to know we have evidence. She needed to know you're not confused. My heart was pounding. How did she react? She said she'd get a lawyer. Said we couldn't prove anything. Then she stormed out. I sat down on the bench outside the shop. My legs felt weak. Mrs. Cole, Mr. Lawson said gently, you need to file a police report. Today. And you need to report this to Adult Protective Services. If you wait, she'll have time to cover her tracks. I don't know how. I'll help you, he said. We went to the police station first. A small brick building on Cedar Street. The officer at the desk was a woman in her 40s. She listened while I explained. The missing money. The bank statements. The rings. Mr. Lawson backed up my story. He showed her the footage on his phone. She took notes. She asked questions. Where do you live? Who has access to your accounts? Did you give verbal permission? Do you have documentation? I showed her everything. The bank statements. The notebook where I'd written down every conversation. The dates and amounts. This is elder financial abuse, she said. I'm going to file a report and pass it to our fraud division. But I have to be honest, Mrs. Cole. These cases are hard to prosecute. Especially when family is involved. You'll need to cooperate fully. I will, I said. I'm also required to report this to Adult Protective Services. They'll send someone to interview you. Okay. She made copies of everything. Then she handed me a case number written on a card. Keep this. Someone will contact you within 48 hours. When I got back to the house, Ethan's car was in the driveway. It was 2 in the afternoon. He should have been at work. I walked in. He was sitting at the kitchen table. His tie was loose. His face was red. Tara was standing by the sink, arms crossed, eyes wet. They both looked at me when I entered. What did you do? Ethan asked. His voice was shaking. What do you mean? The jeweler, Tara said. Her voice was sharp. You set me up. You gave me a fake ring. I gave you what you asked for, I said. You humiliated me, she shouted. He showed me footage. He accused me of stealing. In front of other customers. Did you steal? I asked. Ethan stood up. Mom, stop. Just stop. Stop what? This, he said, gesturing wildly. Whatever game you're playing. Tara made a mistake, okay? She thought you said she could borrow the rings. She misunderstood. But going to the police? Filing a report? That's too far. They called you? I asked. The bank called me, he said. They flagged my account. Said there's an active fraud investigation. Do you know what that means? Do you know what this could do to my career? I looked at him. My son. The boy I raised. The man who looked like his father but acted like a stranger. Do you know what you did to me? I asked quietly. We didn't do anything, Tara said. You're confused, Margaret. You keep forgetting. We've been trying to help you, and this is how you repay us. I'm not confused. Yes, you are, she snapped. You asked us to use that money. You begged us to help with the business. You said you wanted to contribute. And now you're acting like we stole it? I never said that. You did, she screamed. You don't remember because you're losing your mind. The room went silent. Ethan looked at the floor. Tara was breathing hard. I walked to the table. I pulled out the bank statements from my purse. I laid them down in front of Ethan. $74,000, I said. Furniture, nail supplies, designer bags, jewelry, exercise equipment. None of it mine. All of it bought with my card. My PIN. My FEMA money. Ethan stared at the papers. You said I could, Tara said. Her voice was quieter now. Desperate. Ethan, tell her. Tell her she said we could use it. Ethan didn't say anything. Ethan, Tara said. He looked up at her. Then at me. Mom, you did say you wanted to help. You said. I never said it, I interrupted. And you know I didn't. You just didn't stop her. His face crumpled. I thought you wouldn't mind. You weren't using it. You were just sitting on it. We needed. You needed, I said. Not we. She needed. And you let her take it. It's not stealing if it's family, Tara said. That's not how families work. You're right, I said. It's not. I picked up my purse. I walked toward the stairs. Where are you going? Ethan asked. To pack, I said. It took me 30 minutes to pack everything I owned. My clothes. Robert's photo album. The notebook. The fake rings I left on the dresser. Robert's rocking chair I had to leave. Too heavy to carry. When I came downstairs with my suitcase, Ethan was standing in the hallway. Mom, don't do this, he said. We can fix this. We'll pay you back. With what money? I asked. He didn't answer. The police are investigating, I said. Adult Protective Services will contact you. The bank froze the accounts. You should probably get a lawyer. Mom, please. I loved you, I said. I still do. But I can't stay here. Tara appeared at the top of the stairs. Her face was blotchy. You're really going to destroy your own son over money? I'm not destroying him, I said. You did. I opened the front door. A woman was standing on the porch, hand raised like she was about to knock. She was in her 50s. Professional clothes. An ID badge clipped to her jacket. Margaret Cole? She asked. Yes. I'm Elena Ramirez. Adult Protective Services. I'm here to follow up on a report. Can we talk? I looked back at Ethan. At Tara. At the house I'd lived in for 6 months. The house that never felt like home. Yes, I said. We can talk. Elena drove me to a diner. We sat in a booth by the window. She ordered coffee. I ordered tea. Tell me what happened, she said. So I did. Everything. The flood. The FEMA money. Moving in with Ethan. The party. The rings. The bank statements. Mr. Lawson. The fake rings. All of it. She took notes. She asked questions. She didn't interrupt. She didn't look at me like I was confused or dramatic or lying. When I finished, she set down her pen. Mrs. Cole, What happened to you is called financial exploitation. It's a form of elder abuse. Based on what you've told me and the evidence you've provided, I believe you have a strong case. What happens now? I'll open a formal investigation. I'll interview your son and daughter-in-law. I'll work with the police and the bank. If they can't return the money voluntarily, we may pursue criminal charges or civil restitution. Will they go to jail? Possibly, she said. It depends on a lot of factors. But at minimum, this will go on their record. Your son could lose his professional licenses. Your daughter-in-law's business could be affected. The court could order repayment. I nodded slowly. Where will you go tonight? She asked. I don't know, I said. She pulled out a card. There's a transitional housing program for seniors in situations like yours. It's clean. It's safe. It's temporary until you find something permanent. I can make a call. Okay, I said. She made the call right there. 5 minutes later, I had a room. As we left the diner, Elena touched my arm. Mrs. Cole, I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've seen a lot of people in your situation. Most of them don't fight back. They're too scared or too ashamed or too tired. You fought back. That takes courage. I didn't feel courageous, I said. You don't have to feel it, she said. You just have to do it. She drove me to the transitional house. A small 2-story building on Maple Street. Clean, quiet, a shared kitchen and 6 individual rooms. Mine was on the first floor. A bed, a dresser, a window overlooking a small garden. I set my suitcase down. I sat on the bed. I looked at my hands. No rings. I'd left the fake ones behind. My fingers looked naked, old, empty, but they were mine. For the first time in 6 months, I felt like I could breathe. I've been living in my own place for 8 months now. It's a small 1-bedroom apartment on Birch Street. Ground floor. Rent is $700 a month. I can afford it with my Social Security and what's left of the FEMA money. The bank recovered $42,000. Not all of it, but enough. The apartment isn't much. The carpet is old. The kitchen is smaller than a closet. The bathroom sink drips no matter how tight I turn the handle. But it's mine. Nobody tells me when to be quiet. Nobody questions where I'm going. Nobody goes through my things. I have a small porch out back. Just big enough for a chair and a plant. I sit out there most mornings with my coffee. I watch the birds. I listen to the neighborhood wake up. Sometimes I don't think about anything at all. That's a kind of peace I forgot existed. Every Sunday, I go to First National Bank. I sign in at the desk. They take me to the vault. I open my safe deposit box. Inside is a velvet pouch. Inside the pouch are 13 rings. I take them out one by one. I hold them. I remember. The turquoise ring from the craft fair in 1989. The gold band from our 40th anniversary. The thin silver Robert bought the week before he died. Each one is a moment. Each one is proof that I was loved. Then I put them back. I lock the box. I go home. People ask me why I don't just wear them. Why keep them locked away? The truth is, I don't need to wear them anymore. I know they're there. I know they're safe. That's enough. For 47 years, I wore my rings to show the world I was loved. Now I know I don't need to prove it to anyone. The investigation took 4 months. Elena stayed in touch the whole time. She called every week with updates. The police interviewed Ethan and Tara separately. The bank provided records. Mr. Lawson provided footage and sales documentation. I gave my statement 3 times. In the end, Tara was charged with financial exploitation of an elderly person. A felony. She pleaded guilty in exchange for probation and restitution. She has to pay back $1,000 a month for the next 3 years. Her credit is destroyed. Her nail salon never opened. Ethan wasn't charged. The prosecutor said there wasn't enough evidence he knew what Tara was doing. But his employer found out. He lost his job. He lost his reputation. He and Tara separated 2 months ago. I didn't feel good about any of it. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. Elena told me that's normal. She said justice doesn't always feel the way we think it will. Sometimes it just feels like the bleeding stopped. Ethan came to see me in June. I was on my porch, watering the tomato plant I'd bought at the farmer's market. I heard footsteps and looked up. He was standing at the corner of the building. Thinner than I remembered. His hair needed cutting. He looked older. "Hi, Mom," he said. I set down the watering can. "Hello, Ethan. Can we talk?" I gestured to the porch. There was only one chair. He sat on the step. I stayed in the chair. He didn't say anything for a long time. Just looked at his hands. Finally, he spoke. "I'm sorry," he said. "For all of it. For not protecting you. For not believing you. For letting her." His voice cracked. I was weak. I didn't want to see what was happening. I just wanted everything to be easy. I nodded. I didn't interrupt. "I lost the house," he said. "I can't afford the mortgage without my job. I'm staying with a friend right now. Sleeping on his couch. I don't know what I'm going to do." He looked up at me. His eyes were red. I was wondering if maybe, just for a little while, I could stay here. I wouldn't be any trouble. I'd help with rent. No, I said. His face fell. "Mom, please. I have nowhere else." "You have somewhere," I said. "Just not here. I'm your son." "I know," I said. "And I love you. But I can't let you stay." He stood up, angry now. "So that's it? I make one mistake and you just cut me off?" "It wasn't one mistake, Ethan. It was months of them. And I'm not cutting you off. I'm setting a boundary." "What's the difference?" "The difference is I still answer when you call. I still hope you figure things out. I still love you. But I won't let you back into my space until I trust you again. And I don't trust you yet." He stared at me. Then he shook his head. "You've changed." "Yes," I said. "I have." He left. I watched him walk down the street until he turned the corner. My chest hurt. My eyes burned. But I didn't cry. Love doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Sometimes love means saying no. Robert taught me that. It just took me 72 years to learn it. I found a community here. Not a big one, but enough. There's a senior center 3 blocks away. I go on Thursdays for the potluck. I met a woman there named Diane. She's 75. Her daughter stole her identity and opened credit cards in her name. We sit together and don't have to explain why we flinch when someone asks to borrow something. There's a church on the corner. I'm not particularly religious, but I like the Sunday services. The pastor is young. He talks about grace and second chances. After the service, people gather for coffee. They ask how I'm doing. They remember my name. There's a library 2 streets over. I volunteer on Tuesdays, shelving books. It's quiet work. Predictable. The head librarian is a man named Carl. He's in his 60s. He lost his wife last year. We don't talk much. We just work side by side. Sometimes that's enough. These people don't know my whole story. They don't need to. They just know I'm here. I'm present. I'm trying. That's all anyone really needs to know about anyone. I think about Robert a lot. What he would say about all this. I think he'd be proud. Not because I fought back, but because I survived. Robert always said that surviving isn't the same as living. Surviving is just getting through the day. Living is deciding what kind of day you're going to have. For 6 months in Ethan's house, I was surviving. I was small. I was quiet. I was invisible. I let people take from me because I thought that's what family meant. Sacrifice. Endurance. Silence. But Robert never asked me to be small. He gave me rings to remind me I was seen. He gave me love to remind me I mattered. He gave me 47 years of partnership to show me what respect looked like. I forgot that for a while. But I remember now. Sometimes people ask me if I regret what I did. If I wish I'd handled things differently. If I feel guilty about Ethan losing everything. The truth is, I do feel guilty. He's my son. I'll always feel something when he hurts. But guilt isn't the same as regret. I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret standing up for my truth. I don't regret setting boundaries. Those weren't acts of cruelty. They were acts of survival. Ethan lost his job and his house because of his choices. Not mine. I didn't make Tara steal from me. I didn't make him look the other way. I just refused to disappear while they did it. There's a difference between causing harm and refusing to absorb it. I spent 72 years absorbing. I'm done now. Last week, I got a letter from Tara. It came to the apartment. I don't know how she got my address. The letter was short. 1 page. She said she was sorry. She said she was in therapy. She said she understood now that what she did was wrong. She asked if we could talk. I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer. I haven't responded yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I'm still deciding. Forgiveness isn't something I owe her. It's something I might choose to give. But not today. Maybe not ever. And that's okay too. This morning, I sat on my porch and watched the sun come up. The sky was pink and orange. The air smelled like rain. My coffee was hot. My tomato plant had 3 new green tomatoes growing. I thought about everything that happened. The party, the bank, the jeweler, the investigation, the apartment, the boundaries, the loss, the survival. And I realized something. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. That woman was kind but afraid. She was generous but small. She loved people but forgot to love herself. I'm still kind. I'm still generous. But I'm not afraid anymore. And I'm not small. I protected my rings. I protected my money. But more than that, I protected my dignity. I protected my truth. I protected the memory of the man who loved me and the life we built together. Nobody gets to take that from me. Not anymore. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt invisible, I want you to know something. You're not. You matter. Your history matters. Your truth matters. And if people try to take those things from you, you have every right to fight back. It won't be easy. It wasn't easy for me. But peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from standing up for yourself. From setting boundaries. From saying no when you need to. From remembering that love without respect isn't really love at all. I'm 72 years old. I live in a small apartment with a dripping sink and a tomato plant. I eat dinner alone most nights. I don't have much. But I have my dignity. I have my truth. I have my rings locked safely in a bank vault. And I have my life back. That's more than enough. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helped you in some way. If it did, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel, Grandparents' Memories and Life. Hit that like button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future stories. We're all just trying to make sense of this life. Sometimes it helps to know we're not alone. Take care of yourselves. And remember, you're worth protecting. This is Margaret Cole, signing off from Millbrook, Indiana. God bless.